I'm a flawed human being. Just a man. No more, no less. I own it. Can't do anything but own it, right? There are scars on my body, but there are also little scars buried into my consciousness, things that I can't get out, that aren't necessarily seen, but are very present, very there, and that present themselves at various opportunities. I say that to say that the 2016 campaign did bad things to me. I suppose it did bad things to a lot of us. I'm not atypical in this front, at least from the standpoint of my particular sandbox. There's a lot of us with scars on us, invisible things that haunt us at night, monsters that wake us up in cold sweats, remembering things that took place in the 2016 campaign. Pursuant to that, let's call this therapy. You cheated my guy. Not just cheated my guy, you cheated my guy while looking into the camera with dead eyes saying it's fair and impartial. And if you believe it's anything else, that's your problem. You cheated my guy. Never forget this. Never forget this. She was losing to a reality show host with no political acumen. Sanders was beating the stuffing out of him. They even changed the meaning of superdelegates. If you remember, superdelegates used to be in order to get the best candidate. If anything was going wrong and a candidate looked like it was going to be a lame duck or the candidate wasn't going to be able to get over the finish line, that the superdelegates would stand in and they would say, we're going to be the man on the wall, we're going to be the adults in the room, and we're going to choose the stronger candidate. And we're going to give our votes behind that stronger candidate because we want to win. And then after the election, when they failed miserably, when the superdelegates didn't choose the strongest candidate, but all of them lined up behind the other candidate for reasons other than her being the strongest candidate, it changed. And it was, well, it's not about being the stronger candidate. It's about being able to work with Congress. It's nonsense. Utter nonsense. Take a look at this. Take a look at this. I'm fascinated by this. When Bernie Sanders went in his 9-state battleground tour, his crowd, he was mobbed by crowds, thousands, at all of these campaign events. Thousands and thousands of people came out to see Bernie Sanders screaming, showing their placards and their sandals, showing Bernie 2020, wearing their Bernie 2016, having bumper stickers on their face. It's like, oh, Sanders! Flipping out. Flipping out. Sanders was giving the same stump speech. What he was saying, though, resonated in their body in such a way that the only way they could express it was screaming at the height of their lungs. Sanders! Conversely, Trump. Same thing. Those hate rallies that Trump be putting out, thousands and thousands of people come to those hate rallies to see Donald Trump. And Donald Trump says things about jobs. He says things about not shipping jobs overseas, something that Clinton's husband was, complicit in. And he says hateful things about immigrants and all this other stuff. And they cheer him and they, show their placards and all this other stuff. Thousands and thousands of people. Take a look at this. Sanders has maintained his favorability even with all this media scrutiny and even with all eyes on him. Meaning, after the campaign, Sanders stayed where he was. 53% of the country sees him as favorable. Now, when we look at Trump is at 41%. But Trump always had favorability to some degree in the toilet. He was the most unpopular politician in history. But there is somebody who's more unpopular. Hillary Clinton is at 36%, unchanged. If this election was held today, she very well may lose, despite all of the stuff that came up about Trump and Russia and everything else. He may beat the stuffing out of her again. Just saying. And now, to this, we have one more indignity. And I guess at this point, the indignity is not, can be understood. The Clintons are going through a 13-state Give Us Money tour. Now, I don't know why they're doing this 13-state Give Us Money tour. They're millionaires many times over from their political actions, but they're doing it anyway. They're starting this in Canada, and apparently they can't find anybody who wants to come to see the show. Now, I've joked that they couldn't fill a phone booth or outhouse of an outhouse, and apparently, like I said, that seems to be more correct than not. These tickets that at one point was going for like $300 can now be found on Groupon. You too can afford an evening with the Clintons, because suffering this indignity of empty seats, which they've been suffering, empty stadiums, they haven't been able to fill the venues that they've been in. They've now started to sell their tickets on Groupon. Oh, the indignity! The indignity! Your political opponents are having massive rallies. Thousands and thousands of people are coming out to see your political opponents. And you can't fill an outhouse of an outhouse. And you've gotten to the point of going even on Groupon in order to give discounts to try to entice people to come and see you. One of those tickets at one point was selling for like $6. You too can be in an empty crowd with the Clintons. Yes, I'm a flawed human being. And yes, this tickles me. This gives me a certain degree of joy. I bathe in this in almost a therapeutic way. These guys ran a campaign with rank mendacity. I mean, ultimately, hubris to astonishing proportions, where it looked like it was as if they should be bestowed the presidency, as if they were a king or a queen. I mean, it's a fascinating thing when you don't even have to go to Wisconsin, because you just assume Wisconsin is going to vote for you, not because of anything you're going to do, but just because who you are and who the other person is also. Yeah, you cheated my guy. So yeah, I bathe in your misfortune. I wish I was a better person, but I'm not. Let's take a look at the story. This story tickles me like nobody's business. It's hilarious. Desperate measures. Bill and Hillary Clinton resort to using Groupon to sell half-price tickets at their 13-stop paid speaking tour. Fails to draw crowds. Bill and Hillary Clinton begin a 13-stop speaking tour in Canada. The once magnetic Clintons appear to have lost their sparkle in empty seats. That loss of sparkle, by the way, is not just the empty stadiums. It's also the 90% of people who stopped giving money to the Clinton Foundation when there was no political connections that they can use. I find this to be amazing. The former president and presidential candidate are now selling tickets to an evening with the Clintons for $35 on Groupon, half of the $70. There was empty seats in both upper level seats and on ground level where tickets were pricier. The tickets are going for $6.55 in the final minutes before the Toronto event. Just desperate to sell tickets for any cost. I give you $1 and a bumper sticker. Please. Just get into the seat. Just fill the seats. Oh, the joy. The joy. Oh, God, the joy. The enthusiasm the couple drew on the 2016 campaign has died down, and they now found themselves preaching to half-empty stadiums. Nobody wants to hear it. Oh, that's awesome. I am tickled pink by this idea that these guys look out into the crowd and there's nobody there. Oh, the indignity. The indignity is awesome. It's hilarious. Like, there's one other part that the New York Times from Dowd gives a stinging article on this. Look at this. Doesn't stop him from talking, though. On the official site, there were seats in the tour for $325, with the floor seats going for $83, plus a hefty service charge. But on Groupon, they can be picked up for $35. You too can afford to to see Hillary Clinton in an empty stadium. The tour is currently on break for the holidays and reconvenes in New York on April 11, 2019, before moving on to 9 other cities, including DC, Boston, LA, and Las Vegas. Maybe they have better luck in those places. For the May 19th show in Inglewood, California, which seats more than 17,000, tickets usually priced at $77 are now going for $35, with $120 tickets discounted to $50 and 175 tickets down to $72. Despite the site telling customers that the tickets are selling fast with limited time remaining, it appears that less than 450 discounted tickets have actually been sold. If that was a Bernie Sanders rally, they would have filled the entire stadium and you'd have had 5,000 people waiting outside, and Bernie Sanders would have came out and would have went outside first and would have been giving his speech to the 5,000 people, then went in and did another hour. And the 5,000 people would have still waited until he came out. Same thing with a Trump hate rally. But these two can't fill a phone booth. Where's Dowd's comments? I want Dowd's. So New York Times, right here. Where is it? Right here. New York Times columnist wrote in an op-ed that it was curtains for the Clintons. I'm still looking at large swaths of empty seats, and I cringe at the thought of the Clintons will look out and see that too. I don't cringe. That gives me jollies. I'm like, ooh, they're seeing empty seats. I love it. It was only 4 years ago, after all, that Canadians were clamoring to buy tickets to see the woman who seemed to be headed for history, Dowd wrote. I can't fathom why the Clintons would make like aging rock stars and go on a tour in Canada and the United States at a moment when the Democrats are hoping to break the stranglehold of the cloistered, superannuated leadership and exalt in a mosaic of exciting new faces, she continued. What is the point? It's not inspirational. It's not for charity. They're not raising awareness for a cause. Like Al Gore with global warming, they're raising awareness for the Clintons. It's all about themselves. Utter and rank mendacity. Pompousness. Full of ego. And that pompousness, seeing empty seats, I love it. Love it, I love it, I love it. God, I love it. All right, I'm going to end this here. I'm not going to keep this one long. This one just tripped me out. I thought it was funny. Maybe I'm the only one that thinks it's funny. So, Sam Cedar is telling his viewers to go out and buy tickets for Hillary's show. That's hilarious. All right, I'll end this here. This one has gone too long already. If you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support through Patreon. Let's get to some real news. We're having some fun. Thanks all.